of all, thank you to River City Bank and to SMUD again for being our presenting sponsors this year. Also to Calpine for the amazing event last night. And then I also want to give a shout out to Pattern Energy. They hosted that great reception that we had outside here on the patio. Really great time. I also want to say thanks to Pattern. I got an invitation to the ribbon cutting at Sunzia next month, so I'm really excited. If anybody knows, I love a field trip, so just letting you know. Hey, the one thing that, it was really great last night. I want to welcome you all back. I hear that there was a lot of late night partying again. I don't know how you guys do it 2 nights in a row, but I am impressed. I hope you did enjoy the dinner, reconnecting with folks, meeting new people. One thing that I feel like I didn't really get a chance to do was actually properly thank the CalCCA staff. You know, so I would like, if any of my staff are in the room, not my staff, the staff of CalCCA, if any of you can stand up and just be recognized. You guys do an amazing job. And I'm going to call out Evelyn Call over here. She's my Chief Policy Officer and General Counsel. And Evie has, as Jeff mentioned last night, she's been with me every step of the way. In fact, I think I took the job middle of July of 2017. 2 weeks later, she saw me sitting in the foyer of the CPUC with my head in my hands, having come from a meeting with one of the commissioners. And I looked up and I went, Evie, what are you doing? And we had worked many years together, particularly on the issue of departing load charges. And she's just been a fantastic partner. So Evie, I couldn't have, you know, this wouldn't happen without you. And with the amazing policy team that you are there to guide and support. And many of you also know I'm a scientist originally. And so we have an amazing data team. And I think that that has really helped CalCCA with the integrity that we speak, with solutions-oriented, data-driven filings at the various agencies. And so a shout out to the data team, the regulatory team that Leanne Bober leads. Leanne, I still think, has one of the hardest jobs. You know, I think we're in, over 65 stakeholder initiatives. But she does an amazing job, as does all the staff. Also, the LEDGE team is fantastic. And with Eric, we have our market design team that he runs. So that whole group, they do a lot of the heavy lifting, but I have to call out Leora Vestal, our Chief Experience Officer, because everything you're experiencing every year is her team. They do this amazing job. I can't tell you how many people have come up and asked about the amazing branding that you see behind me. That's Leora and her team that put it all together. And then, of course, Sonia Hennessy, who is our event manager, who really pulls it all together. So I just really wanted to get that off my chest, because you forget by the end of the conference to thank everyone. So, and then also I thank the board for the opportunity to do what I do. So thank you. Okay, so last night we celebrated 10 years of CalCCA. And this morning it's about getting back to the work of building the next 10. And that's what this conference has been about. It's the balance of celebrating our progress while still staying focused on what comes next. Because powering our legacy, remember that's our conference theme, it's not just about looking backwards, because legacy is something that we build every day. You build it in your board meetings. It's built in procurement decisions, it's built in your customer programs. It's also in those complex regulatory filings that the Tiger teams and regulatory committees fiercely debate and meticulously craft. It's built through partnerships, persistence, and public service. And through communities taking ownership of their own energy future. And that basically is the story of community choice, and it's the story of CalCCA. And people have said it, I won't take a whole lot of time here, but together this community has built an incredible and remarkable legacy already. It's a legacy of clean energy choices, a legacy of more than, and staff double counted this number, more than 23 gigawatts of new build clean energy procurement. All right? And with more than half of those projects, they've been built, they're online, and they're delivering. So where's Chair Hochschild? Just, you need to take that stat away with you. The CCAs are the ones that are really leading in that area. It's a legacy of local government and accountability, a legacy of community investment, a legacy of proving local leadership can drive statewide impact. And that's something we're celebrating, but it's not where the story ends. Because if the first decade was about establishing the model, the next decade is about leading at scale. And California's energy landscape is not getting simpler anytime soon. So yesterday and today, we've tried to curate a conference program to zero in on some of these challenges so that we can become educated and engage more meaningfully. So clearly, you heard the theme last year, the theme this year, around affordability pressures, right? But I also feel that we can't just point to the T&D side of the utility bill and say, oh, look, we're keeping the cost down on generation. I think as we heard in the wildfire session yesterday, it's really important, the cost of climate change is here, and we need to be part of these conversations and participating in the tough decisions ahead. Sessions yesterday discussed reliability challenges, interconnection bottlenecks, permitting obstacles, and this morning, Sean Marshall is going to moderate a session here on distributed energy resources. But it's not just about listing all the cool projects and programs that CCAs have developed. It's about tackling how do we most efficiently, effectively, and equitably realize the DER benefits. How can the policy framework be modified to optimize and scale these programs for everyone? Another challenge we heard about yesterday is load growth. And I think we were all hoping it would be from electrification. But suddenly layered on top of that is this uncertainty around AI and data centers. What does this mean for our customers and communities? Even if the development doesn't happen here in California, we're still going to be impacted. And I think the procurement session, Monica talked about that. You have hyperscalers that will pay for energy at any cost. How do we compete with that? I think Katie will be up here tackling that session in the data center discussion this morning. And then regulatory and market uncertainty is always a challenge. And I think that there's enough uncertainty to keep us all employed for a very long time. But I do think that we have a model to follow. So back in 2019 at CalCCA, we found ourselves caught on the back foot when Chris Holden had a bill on regionalization. And we really weren't prepared to engage, more from a gut feeling, was it good, was it bad? And so when things changed, he came back with the bill, it died back in 2024, but the challenge was put out there in July of 2020, trying to get my dates straight. Anyways, the challenge was put out there to the stakeholders to come up with something else. The CalCCA board became very proactively engaged in this, and Evie Call, again, led this discussion. We brought in the experts from the West. We looked at what the Western Regional Resource Adequacy Program, RAP, would do. How would that impact? And do you recall, we had very high RA prices at the time. Very concerned. So what we did is we got educated. And I think that that's really important before we react, to step back, get educated, understand everybody's perspectives, and then engage. And so we got very engaged in the Western regional market discussion. And I don't think folks in the room know, but our own Evie Call here is on the formation board of the ROE. That's the Regional Organization of Western Energy. That's what came out of the bill that was passed here. So it's the interim board before the full board that will be seated this fall. So again, we're at the table, we're helping with the design, and the ROE, okay, I know we're into acronyms here, but the ROE will soon govern the Western day-ahead and real-time markets. So it's very important, and Evie's going to be having a panel up here at 1 o'clock to talk about this, a whole group of folks that are down at another conference to do with the West. It's called CREPC. I'm not even going to tell you what that acronym is. They're all flying up here to be part of that conversation. So they're going to talk about the new initiative, the new row, but also there's an initiative to develop a Western resource adequacy framework. So again, it's something we need to get educated about, we need to engage in. These are the challenges in front of us. But let's not get lost in the challenges, because this moment also creates opportunity. My whole career, I believe in that mantra. Out of crisis comes opportunity. I am a glass half full girl. That's just who I am. I'm excited by the challenges. What I think is different here is that CCAs are no longer the new kids on the block or not the new emerging voice. CCAs schedule 1/3 of the load into the CalISO. So you've also heard me say this before too, with great market share comes great responsibility. So we're a central part now of California's energy future, and with that, we need to be acting responsibly and be part of the conversation. So what does that mean to power our future? It means we keep innovating while keeping customers at the center of everything that we do. It means pursuing affordability while never losing sight of what rising costs mean for families and businesses. From my bird's eye view, I see CCAs now acting individually and collectively in the interests of their customers and the state. They're exploring asset management at a scale not currently done. They're expanding the financial tools and applications. And there's more than a small interest here in financing new transmission. It also means continuing to lead on battery storage, demand flexibility, distributed energy resources, and local solutions that will strengthen the system for everyone. And it means making sure that every community shares in the benefits of the clean energy transition. Most importantly, it means partnership, right? No single organization, person is ever going to solve California's energy and climate challenges alone. It takes everyone in this room. And as Rob said last night, it's collaboration with everyone, the investor-owned utilities, publicly owned utilities, energy service providers, market operators, regulators, legislators, environmental advocates, your community members, local governments, and our developer friends here. And our role at CalCCA is to continue to be a constructive, as I said, data-driven, solutions-oriented voice in that work. So yes, we celebrated 10 years of CalCCA, and we should be absolutely proud of that milestone. But the most important measure of our success will not be in what we have already built, it will be in what we build next. Because the greatest chapters of community choice are still ahead of us, and I'm excited to do it with you. So thank you for being here, thank you for your leadership, thank you for your partnership, and thank you for helping power California's future. Thanks.